a month. With us on our live line, we are pleased to have John Roberts. John Roberts is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and National Service Director for Wounded Warriors Project since 2007. And we are happy to have him with us. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Cliff. Thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for your service, sir.
And also to you. You know that, John, for certainly. This Warriors Care Network Partners Program and Services is something that is so important. And John Roberts joined Wounded Warrior Project in 2007 as the National Service Director. He received a promotion to the position of Mental Health and Family Support Executive Vice President. John recently returned to his role as National Service Director to connect, serve, and empower warriors. And John, I just want you to tell people, rather than my just saying it, tell you the things that you went through, have gone through, and notwithstanding that, continue to help your fellow service people is just, I can't say how great that is and how much I think of you and respect you for what you're doing and what you've been doing. All right?
I appreciate that. I got very lucky. I had a pretty significant injury while in service, received 80% burns over most of my body, nearly losing my right arm and spent a year in the burn ward. But the part that came afterwards was not what I was prepared for.
Okay,
So
but
when
before you
was,
do that, John, please
yeah,
pardon me for cutting you off. But I just want people to know what you really went through. Just give us some idea about what was going on, and the helicopter crash and all that sort of thing.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And in
please.
1992, while on a routine Westpac deployment, my unit was diverted into Somalia. At that time, it was humanitarian efforts, and we were preparing for a mission for the next day, and the helo I was in with 18 other Marines blew up in mid-flight, and we crashed into the ocean. Four of my Marines died that day, and I spent a little over a year as an inpatient with 60 operations in 1992, and then 2 years of rehabilitation and follow-up surgeries, and just trying to get my life back in order. And after 14 years, the Marine Corps decided to medically retire me. And from that point, I think, like many of our young service members today and in previous generations, I was a little bit lost. And I wasn't prepared for separation from the military. Things like PTSD were not as I believe, as common as they are today.
Sure.
With all the social media. It's a little more well known now, but the service does a great job preparing you to go to combat, but they don't really prepare you for what comes after when you separate from the service, which is why I think we're seeing such outrageous numbers on veteran suicide, which is just a tragic event in itself, which is why Wounded Warrior Project has made mental health one of their main focuses.
Yeah, now you really went through all sorts of things, but yet you've come out of it. And I totally concur, John, with what you're saying. PTSD probably goes farther than it should, because I think you were saying that a lot of folks they're not prepared for
it. It's different after you spend so many years in the service. Yeah, you're not prepared for the triggers of whatever traumatic event you went through, the smells, the sounds, whatever your particular trigger may be. It may not show its ugly self until many years later after separation, and then we have too many warriors, veterans dealing with isolation, anger, just reliving those traumatic events day after day, and trying to find themselves. I got lucky. I think we have many veterans now that are trying to figure out who they are and what they do now, and they've lost that identity of who they were in the military, what branch they served with, what military MOS they served with, their specialty in the service, and just trying to figure out, what their new normal is, I guess.
But you've done so much. John,
I got lucky, Cliff.
Listen, there are things that I know a guy, for instance, and I'm sure you do know many of them. A gentleman that he had unbelievable reaction. If I hadn't been with him, I wouldn't have really believed it just from hearing a helicopter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
in civilian life, I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I still, it could be a sound, it could be a smell, something will put me right back. Nowadays, movies are so graphic, the combat movies, that I have relived that trauma because of just watching a movie. But, honestly, Cliff, I got really lucky. I had an incredible support system. My wife, my kids, those I served with were reaching out to me, but I was in a dark place for probably a couple of years, where I was self-medicating with alcohol and isolating myself in my home. I didn't want to be around public, and it wasn't until I found a new purpose. Kind of, when we're in the military, we're there for a reason. We're serving. We have a reason for being there. Until I found, helping other veterans, I really didn't know what my purpose was.
Wow.
And when I found that, I really started to become who I was prior to my injuries.
Isn't that great that worked out? How did that work out, John? You're a hero.
I wouldn't say I'm a hero.
I think you are. You helped a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, I try, and I think that's what gives meaning to my life. And but no, I was sitting home feeling sorry for myself, and one of the Marines I served with and was injured with at that time was working for another veterans organization, Disabled American Veterans, and he reached out to me and asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, it's noon, I'm probably drinking, and he goes, You need to stop that, and you need to go for this job interview. And I went out to Washington to their headquarters, and I started as a veterans advocate with DAV, and from there I left and I went to the VA, and I spent many years there. And in the early part of this war in 2001, the Secretary of the VA asked me to go to Walter Reed. And I spent 6 months at the bedside of these young men and women that were coming home injured. And just, for me, I related to them because I remember laying in a bed thinking that my life was over because of my injuries. And I had this renewed passion of, I can help this generation. And I've been lucky. I've worked with all generations of veterans in my career, from World War II to today, and it's been an incredible experience. But to help these young men and women that were going through probably the worst time in their life and trying to figure out what comes next really kind of spoke to me. And that same individual that got me into my first organization also was the founder of Wounded Warrior Project, and he kind of recruited me away from the VA to do what I'm doing now. And I absolutely love what I do, and the organization, its mission to help this young generation is just incredible.
Now tell everybody, John, I want to make sure people know the team you're on now, the name of it.
The Wounded Warrior Project, So as the National Service Director, I am in charge of our national advocacy program. So the service officers around the country that represent these men and women trying to get all of their maximum federal benefits. So I'm sorry, it's Saturday. Act as their representative on their VA claims and, of course, DOD claims.
And you're doing great on that. It's helping a whole lot of people who wouldn't even know in many instances. Is that correct?
I think so. I think
Sure.
there's a lot of organizations that do great work out there that do similar work in what we do, but I think we have right now we are sitting at 94% success rate on the claims that we file with the VA.
That's great. 94%.
Yeah.
Okay. And John Roberts, what else would you like to tell people? When you talk about... yeah, go right ahead, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, originally when I was talking to your folks, so a passion of mine, of course, is PTSD. And one of the programs we have now is the Warrior Care Network, which we've partnered with 4 pristine, very renowned hospitals around the country. And one of them being Rush University right there in Chicago, Massachusetts General Hospital, UCLA, and Emory out of Atlanta. And we are providing what could constitute a year's worth of therapy in 2 or 3 weeks of outpatient intensive treatment. And we're seeing incredible results. But it's a way to go outside the VA to work with outside providers to find new and possibly unique ways to help treat, the PTSD and depression issues that our young men and women are dealing with.
When people are listening, John Roberts, what is it that they need to know more than anything you can tell them?
That these young men and women, these veterans, they still need your support. And I think a little more understanding. I would love for us to normalize what PTSD is in the mind of the public. I think veterans at times get a bad reputation, whether it's through media or movies, that PTSD is normal. Anybody that experiences any kind of trauma in their life, whether it's abusive childhood, things of that nature, rape survivors, anybody that's gone through a traumatic event potentially could develop PTSD. So it's not just a military condition. It's common to everybody, and it doesn't make us any more broken than anybody else that's been through trauma. And just to normalize what PTSD is. And if somebody listened to your show, there's a veteran out there that is apprehensive about seeking treatment, for them to know that it's okay to go out and ask for help. And they're not any more broken than anybody else. That getting help is just showing an act of courage.
Exactly. Now, you have done so much, and after, I understand, John, 15 years after the date of your injury, you left the VA to become a member of the WWP, the Wounded Warrior Project, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's what you are. You're the National Service Director.
Yes.
Tell me the changes and what you've been able to accomplish as the Wounded Warrior Project. That's great.
It's incredible
great.
just to see the changes of the organization over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started, there was just a handful of us. And to see over the years now, the number of programs that we offer, whether it's dealing with mental health, physical health, benefits, financial wellness, trying to get them employed, get their benefits taken care of. I mean, it's just amazing to me to see how many warriors we've been able to help over the years, and to have over 100,000 warriors in our database who we're helping on a daily basis. To me, it's just been astonishing to kind of watch growth, and I'm very proud of what we do. And we continue to grow and meet the needs of the warriors, and they're going to get older, their needs are going to change. And as an organization, we've always been flexible to changing what we provide to meet their needs as a transition from the military to as they're getting older and moving on in different stages of their lives, and always being there for them. Just getting them engaged in the community. One of the biggest programs we have is our alumni program, which is essentially we're running programs across the country every single day, and just to get them out of their house, getting them engaged with other warriors. It's been great to watch, because once we get them out, we can find out what their issues are, and then we can engage them with our other programs or connect them with other programs around the country, other organizations that may have a service we don't provide. We're very collaborative with groups, providing them grants for areas such as, dealing with family members of service members. It's not a program we provide, but connecting with an organization and being able to support them, that's really expanded our reach and what we're able to do. We have some incredible strategic partners as well. One I'm very proud of, and for me, it's one of my therapies, which is motorcycle riding.
Oh, really?
And having a partner like Harley Davidson has just been outstanding.
Oh, that is interesting. That listen, John, that's something you'd have to do without me.
Well, I got very lucky. In 2007, they allowed me to start a program called Project Odyssey, which was
Project what?
Project Odyssey.
Odyssey. Okay.
Homer's journey of soldiers coming back home.
Yeah.
And for us, it's a PTSD retreat model, which I am still very proud of today, which is still running strong. But when we partnered with Harley Davidson in 2015, they asked me as a writer what I'd like to do. And I said, well, I want to take Project Odyssey and I want to put it on motorcycles. And they said, all right, let's do it. And we've been doing these ever since. And just for us who ride, getting on the open road and being with other veterans and sharing that experience has been very therapeutic for everybody that's attended. And it's not for everybody, Cliff. I get it.
Thank you, John. Yeah.
But I love what you guys do, getting the message out, raising awareness of all the struggles of what's out there for veterans and what's available to them. I really have enjoyed. I wasn't aware of your program until you all reached out, and then I've been kind of catching up.
Right. No, we reached out because I think we know what you're doing, John Rogers. Is just great what you're able to accomplish, and we just love it. We want to make sure everybody knows about it. And everybody's got their own thing. I can jump out of airplanes, but I can't ride on a motorcycle. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll jump out of an airplane with you any day, Cliff.
Oh, okay. See, you do it all. You'll do it all. Okay, I got you. John Rogers is with us. He is just great. It's fantastic what he is doing. We just appreciate it. If you like to say something to him before we close out our great interview. 312-374-8130. That's America's Heroes Group. That's the station number here where John is speaking. The what you've got all these great plans and so forth. What's coming up next, John Roberts?
Well, I've got a Rolling Odyssey, which is the motorcycle PTSD event coming up in 2 weeks. And every day is just getting out there and helping veterans. And for me, I focus on their claims, their VA claims. So working that relationship with the VA to make sure we're helping them get all the benefits they're entitled to. So that's pretty much my daily focus. But it's always exciting. I don't, every claim is different, and every veteran has a different story that I'm dealing with.
Well, you even earned a 6-month assignment at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, right?
I did, and I got lucky. Well, there's not a lot of people going into a military hospital with severely injured service members is not easy for everybody to kind of deal with.
Right.
And because of my experience and my knowledge, they brought me in to train, I guess, younger VA employees that didn't have that comfort level or maybe that knowledge base. But yeah, it was very exciting. I mean, to go in there and you're seeing an 18-year-old kid there with both legs missing and laying in a hospital bed trying to figure out what they're going to do now is, and be able to help them and, kind of guide them through the process and, at least get them on the right path, was extremely rewarding for me and
absolutely.
something I really enjoyed.
I heard today, what you probably did also, we discussed it just briefly earlier, that the Afghanistan war was over today.
Well, I heard that as long as everybody sticks to the agreement, we'll see. I mean, I think I think anybody would say we're probably a little premature to say it's 100% over. Now it's up to the Taliban to live up to their part of the agreement. So let's see what happens there. But I think everybody would really enjoy this to be over and have our men and women home.
I certainly hope so, and I agree with you, John. It's a little premature to say it's over, but hopefully that will be the case. You are just a fantastic gentleman. We are so happy to have you be on with us. How can people reach you, please?
Well, absolutely. If anybody wants to reach out and support the organization and our programs, they can reach out to www.woundedwarriorproject.org, either through donations or potentially volunteer opportunities. But, we can't do what we're doing without their support. And that's, I think, and Cliff, just if I could just be real honest, I know I'm about to leave your show, but I think your generation paved the way for this generation, and the sacrifices your generation made coming home and the way they were treated. It's not the same now for this younger generation. I think we learned a lot of valuable lessons, and the young men and women today coming home are, I think, reaping the benefits of your sacrifice and your generation's sacrifice. And, the American public support over the years has just been outstanding, and we can't thank them enough for what they do to support our mission and our cause and
John,
taking care of these young men and women.
You're nothing short of great. Thank you so much for being with us, and you'll be hearing from us again. All right?